lot of cool.
So much of the mutate is in blue, black, green. I can't even remember the name for it right now. Wait.
Oh, in
A
Sultai?
lot of the mutate is in Sultai. Most of it's in black and green, actually.
Yeah, but you don't have that white, dude. Nethro's the best mutate they
That's
made.
fair.
Yeah,
That's
Nethro's
absolutely fair.
Yeah. I thought about the Nethro Zero CMC deck, where you just basically like really small or zero powered creatures and just pull them all out at once.
Yeah, that could work. Don't really want to build or rebuild to ready right now. Ugh. Those are going off to suck for now. That's there, that's there. What deck do I... So what decks are you planning on building with Ikoria coming out?
I'm on the fence about Nethro. I'm not sure. I wanted to keep Tassiger and kind of mess around with that a little bit more and tweak it here and there and see kind of how I want to, what direction I want to put it in. But basically, the only for sure staple I have now is going to be Zexara.
That's fair. Like, it's kind of like me with Volrath. Mutant mechanic is real interesting, and if you can make a single creature basically an army, why not?
Yeah. I just really like the Hydra, and I've wanted to build Hydras and X-Spells for a long time now. Like, I've always been interested in Hydras as a triad.
And now we finally have a Sultai Hydra that you can actually use, so you can have a black Hydra.
Well, when I was on the fence for a long time about building Krufix, because I've seen like Krufix ramp decks, and they're always super powerful. Like, they're just these giant batteries. You know, you're basically the entire game, you're trying to charge this battery, and then you just freaking unload it, you know, and it's crazy.
What's up, losers?
What's up?
So,
Oh, you know, doing a bunch of nothing. What did I miss? Said something about Hydras.
oh, just about new things and new directions we're taking things. I do actually like the new dinosaur, the spellcaster Tamir guy. I think he's really powerful, and I think I don't know. I think he's broken. Like it's kind of unfortunate that they're doing a lot of these cards that are really cool, but the way that they've adapted them is like they can go infinite with one card. So it's like
kind of like how the new blue-green guy that Cliff built. Kind of like how that is just like, I'm going to go infinite with literally anything.
He goes infinite with Basalt.
You're breaking
he creates
up real
infinite
bad.
colorless mana. Am I?
Yeah.
Well, that's weird. What about now?
Yeah, you're better now. But yeah, it goes infinite with Basalt Monolith and basically anything that untaps itself.
Well, yeah, the Basalt Monolith gives an infinite colorless, and as long as he's got a creature to produce any color, blue or green, he can literally search for the Staff of Domination and win the game.
Or Thrasios.
Or Thrasios and still win the game.
Yep.
Like, the fact that they printed that guy, he's only a 2-drop.
Well, I'm just glad that he didn't put... I'm just glad that he didn't put Urza into it.
Well,
yeah,
because that's infinite blue mana and infinite colorless mana.
Yeah, but Urza's better. Urza's better as a commander than he is in the 99.
Yeah, build around the issue that with these guys is they're in blue and Simic, which were already really gross, and on top of being enablers, like they ramp up and they really like move past other decks. And then on top of that, the most broken part is they provide the sync to what you do with all your mana. You know, like it's the same Thrasios. It's like, hey, I'm gonna ramp, and then my commander's also the sync. You know,
right? You're not sitting there wondering what you're gonna do with 40 mana because Thrasios is like, I got something for you to do with 40 mana.
Exactly. And now
like
this new Simic one.
Yeah, like you may lose 1 or 2 mana at the end of turn doing it, maybe, but other decks where you ramp out where there's no sync to it, you just waste that mana. Like it's just gone. Like
Urza's the same way. You know, like, hey, if you have nothing to do anything with this blue mana, you can pay 5 and just keep going to town with this thing. You know?
Right, exactly. And that's the problem with Magic is they've gotten Magic when it started, it was all about creatures. It was all about beating people with the biggest creatures you could find. There were no abilities. It was just basic generic creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Now, yes, back then, Magic was a simpler time. As a game that's starting out, you don't want to make it too complicated because you want people to play.
Yeah.
And so, but now has evolved to the point where combat decks are just obsolete.
Oh, yeah.
Combat decks don't matter.
Combat in general.
Yeah. Like going to combat most of the time, even win through combat. Like you don't win through combat damage because that's not how most decks, even most commanders nowadays aren't operating that way. And if they are, most people have answers. Most people can stop your combat. Fog exists. You can just fog their combat. There's cards that say they can't go to combat.
Yep.
Like combat's just an obsolete thing, but when you play against combo players, it's boring.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not fun. Like I get it. We all play combo decks. Almost not a single one of us plays like an actual stomp you. I'm going to combat every single turn. Like we may swing once or twice as a person that's like threatening, but we're probably not killing them with combat.
Yeah, that's fair.
You're probably killing them with burn. You're probably killing them by milling them out or something, or infect. You know, if you can do that with a little bit of combat, just to keep on the table. Right, but you're never actually physically going to combat every single turn to beat people off the table.
Yeah, and if you are, it has to be with something that produces so much value, you know, that they can never come back from it. That's why I really like this new Boros commander, because if she's out and you swing with like 5 goblins, you have just turned through so many cards. You've just thrown out so much shit under the table that you actually have a fair chance of closing a game out with that combat step.
Yes. Well, hell, even Boros has gotten away from combat. Look at the Minotaur.
Yeah.
The Minotaur don't care about combat. The Minotaur's like, hey man, cast some spells, kill some people.
Yeah,
like
or
even
feather,
Boros, even Boros, who's been known for combat shenanigans, is now even getting towards the combo game. Mm-hmm. And that shows you just how far Magic has gotten away from its roots.
Well, the reason that Boros got taken away from that is just because it can't keep up as a combat-oriented setup.
Well, exactly. That's the problem with it, though, is when you have a guild in a color setup that's always been designed to beat people, and you get away from it, it shows you that your game is getting to the point where it's not fun for people. Like your game is now shifting. Like the game itself, Magic the Gathering itself, is shifting to it's competitive. Magic is competitive now, whether we want to play casual or not. Magic is competitive. At no point in time can you build just a generic deck and expect to have fun, because you would rely on everyone else at that table playing the same style. Everyone at the table would have to agree to play the stompy decks, and then you'd still have one asshat that would still go into a combo that lets them win, even if it's through combat. Like you never just have people shitting out creatures and then beating people to death. You have the Crater Hoof Avenger combo with all the fucking tokens and all the damage. You have all the stuff that bumps. You have all the bullshit. You have fucking infect now. Like, you know, it's getting too convoluted for people to enjoy playing Magic. And that's part of why I'm stepping away from it. Like, I don't enjoy it like I used to. Like, I love playing Magic and I love collecting and I love talking about Magic. Like, it's always been fun for me. But at the same time, like, it's just not.
I set this up was so that we could at least discuss and not necessarily play.
Well, I think there's a multi-pronged issue. I think one is power creep has really gone crazy. I think just the commander cards in general are a lot stronger than they've ever been.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's not necessarily anybody's fault. It's just a natural, like the power creep is a natural thing that's happening. These precons, the commanders getting ridiculous. The types of shit they're printing is getting more insane. And on top of that,
it forces you to play that way. Magic forces you to play like a degenerate because that's how the cards are designed.
Yeah,
or otherwise
it's like for me too. Like the one thing I've taken away is like I don't think I could ever go back to playing my mono black, because I just realized, you know, compared to a lot of these decks, if I don't have blue like in my decks, it's like I am at such a disadvantage, and I'm like I can't respond to anything. It's
green and blue are the strongest 2 colors in Magic. Blue.
Well, it's like if we're trying to play that stompy, you know, deck. It's like, cool, dude. I got this big creature out, and let's say I was even able to cheat him out, and blah blah blah. Let's say I'm in like Naya, you know, and I have this like cool dragon out or whatever. I'm trying to do this thing, you know, where I shut out these cool Naya creatures. If I'm playing against an Urza and they Cyclonic Rift me when they have Urza out already, which is a huge problem, what am I supposed to do to that? I'm done. You're done.
Oh yeah, no, dead in the water. If an Urza deck ever C-rifts you, you're done anyway.
You're done. That's it.
It's
and
over.
all that value you got, and they can just control the game from there. Urza's broken. It can be broken things.
You think about how many blue spells in Magic for 1 to 3 mana on average let you return a creature to their owner's hand.
Mm-hmm.
For 1 to 3 mana. I'm going to shit this creature out for free. It's got haste. I'm going to move to combat. I'm going to respond to you move to combat. I'm going to pay 1 and unsummon it back to your hand.
Yeah.
For 1.
Yeah.
Like that type of shit right there makes Magic not fun.
A third of the blue spells that are under 3 mana?
Yeah, pretty much. pretty
and
much.
The other 2/3 are counter spells?
Well, yeah. So you have a third of them that unsummon. You have a third of them that counterspell, and then you have a third of them that let you look at your cards and draw or rearrange like the top 3.
And that's all for under 3 mana.
It's so hard to enjoy Magic whenever there's a color out there like blue that literally for the mana curve of 3 can just stop anything that's happening. Doesn't matter what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Under 3 just stops it. What's that? You're moving the combat? Cool, I'll bounce all your shit.
It's just something you have to account for, and it makes a lot of strategies unviable now.
Well, it's hard to account for that because even if someone runs mono blue, like Cliff, for example, Cliff runs his mono blue horsemanship deck, right? Now, it's kind of clear that it's horsemanship, so it's a combat deck. Like, that's kind of obvious. But what's not clear about it is what's in the deck itself. Like, yeah, you can put the little 1-drops, little 2-drops beat for a little bit, but he did Eldrazi.
Yeah.
He did gross shit, and you can't account for that when you're playing a mono blue player. Like, who expects fucking Eldrazi? Nobody. No one expects someone to have a Ulamog. No one just is like, oh man.
Well, that's what ruined the last game that we had for me.
Absolutely, and I agree with that 100%. Having Ulamog as early as he did,
there
wasn't not a lot that could happen. Even with you having the best shot at stopping what he was doing because what your commander did.
Yeah,
there was
make a copy of him.
If he would have swung at you from the very start instead of Eric, me and Eric would have died. 100%. Me and Eric were out of that game. Like if he would have not shifted focus and just hit you instead, me and Eric were 100% dead. Because you were the only reason he lost any of his board. Because I guarantee you, if you wouldn't have swung at him the next turn, he probably would have dropped a Kozilek.
Yeah, another one. Well, that's the issue too. Is like and that's the thing too. Is I knew what you guys were playing would not be able to handle that. I was like, it's up to me at this point because I know the decks they both are playing. They're medium power. They're just chilling, and they don't have the resources or tools to stop something like this.
Yeah,
so I had the reality shift. The issue, just like I was saying before, you're in mono blue, and it's like if you get some kind of advantage like that in mono blue, you're going to be able to protect it. That's what blue's so good at. So of course, as soon as you get that counter spell from my reality shift, I knew right there, game's over. Done.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, the moment he counters your reality shift, I sat there and thought to myself, I was like, this is it. This is done. And the only reason it wasn't is for the simple fact that, like, I had so much shit on my board. Like, even if he would have swung the Ulamog at me, like, yeah, I couldn't block it, so I would have taken 10. But I would have sacked 9 because you put the counter on it. I would have taken 9, but I had so much stuff I could have sacked 4 permanents and not cared.
Yeah, and that's where the advantage of green comes in.
Shit. And that's kind of where that's why I think he didn't swing at me because me and Isaac talked about that. I was like, I don't know why he didn't hit me. I was like, he didn't swing at me once with that fucking thing. Not once. The entire time we played, he didn't swing at me one time. He hit Eric twice, and then he hit you. He hit Isaac.
Twice.
Swung at me, and I would have lost a lot more shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I walked outside, talking about Eric and Isaac. But yeah, he didn't even swing at me at all. Like, not even once. And I was like, I'm just sitting there thinking, man, I'm next. I'm the next person to get hit. He's spreading it around. No, I was completely wrong. He did not even hit me. And I was just surprised by it. But it allowed me to build up so far that I was able to win the game. Like, it allowed me to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where I was. It upset me that allowed me to win. Because I didn't want to win that way. Like, I want to win through the way I play, not because he took 2 other people out while I built my board state. Like, that's not, but the deck I built, like I said, man, it's like a level 3 at best. Like, the deck doesn't do a lot. Like, there's not a lot of responses to things. Like, I'm not like, there's nothing crazy like that. Like, I barely even get triggers off my fucking commander. Like, the deck is
I'm a lot more okay with a deck like that. I'm a lot more okay with low power decks as opposed to all competitive all the time.
Well, because if we get out of the low power into the competitive scene, then no one has fun. The games are over on turn 3. No one enjoys it. You start another game just to end it on turn 3 again.
It's not, for me, it's not that. If it was a matter of like game diversity, I would be way more into CDH, because the reason I like CEDH is because everyone is coming to the table with the same exact gun. Like,
you're all coming to the table with a 6-shooter.
Exactly.
Like, each of you have the exact same gun, the exact same bullet. Like, everything's exactly the same.
As opposed to someone coming with a rocket launcher when you
opposed to someone coming with the rocket launcher to a gun. You know, it'd be like us bringing a knife to a gunfight. Yeah, that's essentially what it is. When they play CEDH, we bring knives to a gunfight.
Yeah,
like that's how it feels, and it's not fun. But like even the other night when we played, like as soon as Jeff got butthurt about the whole land thing that you did, like he was so quick to shift to his CEDH deck where we just don't get to do anything. Because his commander, I read his commanders, I looked it up. And essentially, if you get an Isochron Scepter Dramatic Reversal, you just win. You exile their entire library.
What is this?
You just exile their shit. So whenever you cast a blue spell, you exile a card from the top of target player's library.
Is this a new commander?
No, he's an older guy. I want to say he's from like Ravnica or something. I can't remember what set he's from, but he just built him in. It's a competitive deck. He built it as a competitive commander. And so if he gets an Isochron Scepter Dramatic Reversal, that shows it casting. It says you cast that card.
Oh, yeah.
And so you untap, tap, it's a blue card. So you just literally exile their decks at whenever speed, whenever you feel like it, when no one has mana open or whatever. And it's like, okay, that's not fun. Like, and I read the commander and I was like, yeah, no, I'm getting off. Like, I'm not doing this. I'm not about to sit here and have him touch himself in the corner while the rest of us exile our library.
And then get mad at us for doing basically the same thing.
Pretty much, and then get mad for the same thing. Like when Eric wiped the lands, it gave him the advantage. And that's okay. It gave him the advantage. He still won the game. He just did it so he could make sure he could win the game. I wasn't mad at it. I drew a couple lands and played a few more spells afterwards. Hell,
so
even Cliff didn't get mad at it.
I drew one more land that game, but I had been taken so far out of the game that I was just done.
You were so far out to begin with, but like even Cliff didn't get mad. And Cliff normally gets mad about everything. And Cliff was like, well, damn. And then kept playing.
Well,
even laughed about his fucking mana crypt trigger when he was like, oh, I'm still in it. Like, was still laughing about it. The only person that actually got mad was Jeff. He was the only one. The only person
I was even saying I was play testing too. Like, I'm seeing what works, what doesn't work, you know. So when I'm doing that, I kind of let everyone know too. Like, it's like, well, obviously, if you don't win when you do it, it's not as fun for everyone. Okay, noted.
I knew exactly what you were doing. As soon as you turned all of our lands and the creatures, I was like, he's fucking board wiping. I was like, that's
you know, exactly I have Massacre Worm in every one of my decks.
Even if it wasn't Massacre Worm, even if it was just like a regular board wipe, I was like, he's fucking board wiping. I was like, it's happening. I was like, there's no reason to do that. I was like, maybe my first thought was he can get a decent amount of damage in off of this. I was like, I could see something like that, you know. I was like, but then like it hit my brain. I was like, he's board wiping. I was like, son of a bitch. I was like, I know that's exactly what's happening, and I was right. Like it happened, but that just shows how long I've played Magic. Like I could see it coming.
Well, I think there's a small difference too, like, because I kind of understand like Jeff's point of view and stuff like that. Like, if it was a situation where it's like, hey, I Armageddon because I had a 2/2 creature and you guys didn't have anything, and now I also lost my lands, and I'm just going to take this 2/2 and like over 20 turns each with death.
But
I lost no lands, and I had like a full hand, and I Massacre Worm out and everything else I needed to win it. So I'm like, I'm just going to do it now, you know.
Right, yeah, you had everything when we had nothing. You were at the advantage. You could have swung every turn and still hit us. Yeah. You know, the only downside was I got to keep my commander because my commander's a 2/5. Yeah. So I'm still blocking with the 2/5 that's indestructible. Like, I've still got a little bit of advantage over everyone else compared to, you know, what they had. But at the same
I got
time,
taken completely out. I had no rocks, I had no lands.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've learned to keep lands in my hand. Like I've learned my lesson. I don't play a land every time I get it. I'm like, I'm gonna keep this for a bit.
The only way that I would have gotten to the turn 4 try to win,
was
if I played a land every turn.
Yeah.
Well,
But
hell,
it's one of those things. So you have to like understand when it's like part of a deck strategy. Like Spencer did that to me when I was playing a deck. He was playing his slivers, and he freaking Armageddon, and he was justified in doing so because I was tapped out, and he also had his slivers that produce mana. That's a perfectly viable time to do that to win.
Absolutely.
Because now you have all the advantage in the world.
Well, I couldn't even get mad at him too because I decided to tap out because I got greedy and I wanted to pull ahead, and I had a counterspell in my hand. So if I just would have played things out more smoothly, I could have countered that and won the game. But you know what? He saw I was tapped out. He saw an opportunity. He knew, hey, I can still make mana.
Yeah, exactly. He took the advantage and did it perfectly well.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, I can't. Yeah. Now, if he would have Armageddon when having nothing on the board, that's different. Like, don't Armageddon me if there's nothing on this board. Don't, or late game. Like, if you Armageddon late game after a board wipe, like I'm done. Like, I don't like. We've been here for like an hour and a half. Like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to play this game. Like,
it's like doing the sea rift when you're not going to win too. You know.
Yeah. Like
when you're
I see
just building.
Right. I see rift late game when I'm about to win. Like I want to clear a board, and that's when I see rift. Like, I'll never just do it to do it. I see rift when I know there's a purpose. When I've drawn something really good in my hand, I'm like, cool, but I need the board to be cleared to make this work. Yep. I need no mana, whatever the case may be, and I'll see rift, but I don't ever just do it to do it unless it saves me. Like, I've see rifted probably recently like 10 times just to save my life from death.
Yeah,
like
that's about the only time that I ever see rift too, is to save my own life.
And I think that's why it gets its bad reputation, because it's when people do it because they don't really know how to play the card yet, and it's like, okay, let's say it's like turn 6 or 7 or whatever, right? And like someone had done a board wipe. So then the board is wiped, and now we spent the last couple turns rebuilding the board, and all of a sudden a guy, well, I got nothing else to do. I got 9 mana. I'm just going to see rift. It's like, dude, really? We just spent the last 3 or 4 turns rebuilding, and now you're saying we got to do it all over again, and you're no closer to winning? I think that's the problem with sea rift is.
Yeah. But that comes back to the fact, like you said, of inexperienced players.
Yeah.
Like inexperienced players do that when they have no actual advantage, no tactical advantage is when they see rift or when they board wipe, when they know that they can't do anything. Like, I'll board wipe if I'm behind. I'll board wipe.
For sure. Absolutely.
Like, if it means I don't die or I get rid of a combo piece, 100%, I'll do it.
Yeah.
But I'm not just gonna do it to be petty. Like, I'm not just going to do it because I'm inexperienced. Like, that's really what it comes down to is, like...
Well, you will do petty if people like Jeff push your buttons.
Oh, I like being... Don't get me wrong. I like being petty. I am a fan of petty. Don't... I mean, let's not get that twisted. I'm a fan of being petty. But, like, I don't do it unless I feel there's a reason to do it. Like, I have to have a legit reason... Hold on. There we go. I have to have a legit reason to want to be petty.
That's fair.
And most of the time I don't. Most of the time I just sit back and let things happen. Like, hell, I think I've sat back more than almost anyone else that plays Magic and just watch things unfold.
Yeah.
Because you know how they're going to.
Depending on what deck you play, too, that can be like a pretty big resource to use, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Like, I've built decks where I just don't do anything until it's time for me to actually do something. Like, I'll sit back for 95% of the game and then all of a sudden come out at the end and win because I've sat back.
And anticipations are for, you know?
Well, you just have to learn. Like, when you play Magic, like, you just have to learn when to do things. And that's the advantage I think that a lot of people don't have. They're at the disadvantage, not because their combo is hot shit and they're probably going to win the game. Like, I had a dude play an Urza deck one day. And he thought he was going to win the game. He ramped out on turn 1, Mana Crypt, Soul Ram, and a land. And I was like, well, shit. All right, that's pretty good. So on my turn, I played a card that says you have to pay 2 for your artifact or get rid of it.
That's also good.
And his upkeep and shit. So he paid for 1 turn, hoping the top deck of land to kind of get back in it. He couldn't. I shut down his entire Urza deck with 1 enchantment.
Nice.
And he was talking all kinds of shit. He's like, man, he's like, I don't know if I should play Urza. He's like, these decks look pretty underpowered. I was like, no, I think we'll be fine. And I kept my fucking opening hand with that card, and I was like, sweet. And I just fucking I shit it out as fast as possible.
Ruined this man's whole career.
And ruined his entire fucking. He couldn't play the rest of the game. He just sat there. It was Kingmaker when I played it. It didn't hurt me, but it stopped him from stopping the other guy. But I was like, I'll accept it. This dude's talking shit about his Urza deck, talking about being the most powerful deck at the table, and I shut him down with 1 enchantment. How strong could you be?
Yeah,
Like
that kind of mentality too is like what's really becoming problematic. It's like, dude, you're not hot shit. You're just playing something stupidly fucking broken. Let's be real about it. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, you basically have to
Well, that's really
be able to back that kind of thing up if you're gonna play.
Well, y'all have seen the decks I've built and the commanders I've built. I build some random shit. I build the most random commanders you'll ever fucking find.
And they're gross.
And they're gross because I can build a deck. I like building the most obscure commanders because no one knows what they do until it's too late. No one knows how strong they really are because the tier system, in all honesty, man, the tier system's not really accurate. Like, Brago's good because his ability. Urza's good because his ability, but Urza by himself, you give Urza any type of other clause in his wording, he's not good. You give him a tap ability, he's useless. Like, now you have to build differently, but I build commanders that are like, hey man, I'm turning the lands into creatures and beating the hell out of you.
Yeah, like, I mean, I think the only thing where it comes down to it, if the tier system is a twofold thing. If it's a commander that aids you in ramping your deck, or if it's a commander that aids you in drawing cards, they have an inherent advantage over anything else. Besides that, those two factors, in my opinion, everything's about the same.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, because, like, let's think about it this way. When I played Gitrog Monster, I never had to waste any slots in my deck with any kind of card draw. I didn't have to worry about Mystic Remorse or Ristic Studies or a Preordain or a Harmonize. Like, that was just an unnecessary step because that motherfucker just gave you cards.
Well, because your commander let you draw cards.
Exactly.
Your commander
free up spaces like that. It helps you.
Right. Like, your commander was the card draw engine, but for other decks, like even basic mono green commanders, most of them don't draw you cards, but green draws really well.
Yeah.
Same thing with ramp. I'd rather have too much ramp than not enough ramp.
Oh, for sure.
I've found myself several times where Boundless Realms is the only ramp I need, and I'm like, oh, sweet. And I'll adjust the deck a little bit, get rid of the fucking Kodama's Reach and the Cultivate and stuff like that, because that one card does it. But then several games, I don't ramp like I did before because I don't draw the card.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, fuck, man, now I got to go back to this other method. And when I go back to it, I still only get the Boundless Realms, and it's plenty for what I need. So I end up dead drawing. But the games that I don't get the fucking Boundless Realms, I just sit there and kind of do nothing.
Yeah.
And so I'd rather have too much of the same thing than not enough of it. Like, I'd rather ramp so hard. Like, because I'm building the Storm dude as well. I'm going to build him before I build Gyrus or whatever.
Do you need a Gyrus?
No.
Whatever it is?
Who? No, not him. Sorry. The new one.
Gyrus?
Yeah, the new one, Xyrus or whatever.
Yeah, because Gyrus is the zombie.
Oh yeah, my bad. Xyrus, the new Snake Leviathan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so gross, dude.
Like,
I'm not looking forward to playing it.
I'm building him, and then I'm also building Stormsire because he's essentially a storm. He's Riku without copy, but he is the copy.
So good. He's
like,
so good.
But it's just if he's tapped. Like, I can easily tap him. Like, that's not a problem. Like, there's a lot of ways to tap creatures in the game of Magic, including your own. Yeah. In those colors, nonetheless. So
it's crazy too. With one copy spell, you can make him infinitely large too.
Yes. Well, hell, you use a reiterate and a fucking reiterate and early harvest. Untap all your basic lands, copy it with reiterate on the stack.
Oh, yeah.
And you do that. So what you do is you move to combat and you swing, and so he's tapped. And when they don't block, you respond and you make him infinitely big to kill.
Yep, or just throw Shauna's Ignition out after you make him infinitely big.
Well, that's what you do as well. That card auto goes in that deck.
Oh, yeah.
Like, without question, that goes in that deck, and it goes in the mono red partner that states when you discard a card, you get a counter on him or whatever. It goes in that deck as well. He gets really fucking big. Like, that's the thing, though, is like the card Chandra's Ignition is not a super good card because how often do you have those big creatures that stick around?
Mm-hmm.
And so with Storms, you Ori, Alchemist Refuge, any of the cards that let you cast at instant speed, you put them into the deck because now you make them really big. Even if someone blocks or they try and remove them, you're like, cool, I'll respond. Chandra's Ignition, you all fucking die.
Yeah.
Like, you're all dead. I'm just going to kill you now. Like, yes, is it another combo deck? Absolutely. But there's no other way to build him. He is a combo deck.
Yeah, a sling deck. That's kind of the way you have to go.
Which is why I like the Snake Leviathan. Now, the Snake Leviathan's also a spell slinging card drawing deck, but you have to kill people somehow. Like, card draw doesn't necessarily kill in those colors. Now, if you had black, it would, but not in those colors. So the hardest part about that is how, well, I'm going to swing my snakes at you. Like, I'm going to beat you to death with snakes. Craterhoof, Pathbreaker, Ibex, any of the, Kessick, Wolf Run, any of those things, and I kill you. I'm just going to murder you.
Like, that's the thing about the deck. There's so many threats, man. So you have to worry about the you have to worry about the Craterhoof. You have to worry about anything that gives haste. You have to worry about Triumph Rewards. And on top of that, then you start worrying about Perforos, Impact Tremors. Like, the deck is a billion. Classic Kendall. I was thinking the other day, I'm like, dude, how am I going to survive that deck when Kendall's plays Alter the Brood? I'm going to be fucked.
Yeah, that's pretty fair.
Because Alter the Brood also is just an auto-include. Like, I made 21 snakes instantly.
Alter the Brood is always in the deck. Like, Alter the Brood and Mind Crank are both going in this deck.
Because as you do.
As I do. Because Mind Crank states when you lose life, well, Goblet of Bombardment says you lost life because they've entered the battlefield. Or to Impact Tremors, now you're losing life for that. Mm-hmm. And then Mind Crank's going to state that you mill a card every time you take a life. Alter the Brood also states when it enters, you mill a card. So you're milling like 5.
And you're milling again. So it's
milling a game, infinite damage, infinite mill, whatever it needs to be. And that's the best part. This deck essentially is like 4 or 5 decks that I've built prior to this. This is all of those decks built into one. Yeah. Like, they're all smashed together with the best parts. And it's going to be fun. Like, it's going to be, like, I'm going to enjoy it. It's going to
be real gross, but it's also going to be real fun.
Right. I get to play essentially 5 decks at once. Like, I essentially get to play 5 decks at one time. Yeah, like, I can do landfall triggers because I'll be playing lands. I can do sacrifice triggers. I can do damage triggers, draw triggers, you name it. I can copy spells. I can do all that shit in this one deck. And it's a combination of decks I've built prior. Like, that's exciting for me. Like, that right there makes it fun. Like, yes, we talked about it is another combo deck, and that's kind of shitty. But
at the same time,
it also could be a combat deck. Like, I can shift it however I need. Like, I can get the card advantage and then shift to kill you with my creatures that will have haste, will have trample, and will have flying.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to put Wonder, Anger, and Brawn in the deck.
Nice.
They're all going in the deck. I've never put Wonder in the deck in my life. I've wanted to for a long time, but I've never done it. Now I get a chance. Now I got Flying, Trample, Haste, Snakes. Okay.
Yeah, Anger and Wonder definitely great auto includes, especially when you're doing so much. Because even, like, I like his combat move. I think it's unique where it's like, hey, I'm going to swing at your 5, and I'm going to draw 5 cards. But the cool thing is, like, to make this up to you a little bit, you can draw 5 cards. You know?
Yeah.
I'm also going to get snakes off it, but you're still drawing 5 cards.
Yeah, I'm giving you advantage, but you're also taking the damage. Yeah. Like, I'm going to give you cards in your hand, but you're probably not keeping those cards I gave you. Like, those cards are probably getting wheeled. Now, the best part about this deck is, well, for other players, not for me, is I can't exile graveyards with this deck. So even if I make you discard, I can't exile them. So your graveyard still exists.
You can kind of do that, though.
I mean, I could Tormod's Crypt, Relic of Progenitus, stuff like that. But I'm talking about, like,
you don't want to waste.
Like, I'm talking about just because. Like, no Leyline, no Rest in Peace, things like that. Things that just sit on the board and exile your cards.
How much recursion are you going to be running in that, though? It's my real question.
I mean, I'm going to have a decent amount of recursion. I'm going to have regrowth. I'm going to have Eternal Witness.
Tormod's Crypt and Soul Guide Lantern.
Yeah, but that just is. It comes down to the point where I have to choose when I want to do it, and then that's a slot that I can't fill with something else. I'd rather something sit there and static exile your stuff than me have to determine when I should.
Yeah, like it all depends on what you want to draw too, Isaac. Like, if it was me playing, and if I would much rather say, hey, I'm going to draw a card now. I would much rather it be the mill one, the 1-drop mill one. Now the name escapes me. Than a Tormod's Crypt.
Alter the Brood,
Yeah, and if that's my mentality, then there's no point me putting in Tormod's Crypt because I want the Alter Brood.
100%. Now, I'm not downing Tormod's Crypt. I think Tormod's Crypt's a very good card. I like Tormod's Crypt for 0 and the sack effect. It's not even a tap. It's just a sack. Like, I like that a lot. Like, it's a really good card. Oh well, yeah. Even the tab build, it doesn't really matter. But it's the fact that, like Eric said, I would much rather draw anything else in that deck than draw the Tormod's Crypt.
Mm-hmm.
Like now, yes, is Tormod's Crypt at some point a value card? Absolutely, it is. There's a lot of potential for a Tormod's Crypt. I can't say it's not. But in the way I want to build the deck.
Did I just cut out?
Yeah, I don't know.
Hold on. I couldn't hear y'all. Man, someone tried to call me. Give me a second.
I've actually been thinking of building the new Sisay with that, maybe in the 99, I don't think I do his companion, but that new elk that creates your Wooburg, and just to be something different, that legendary themed deck, you know?
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I literally have every single card like in the deck that you could ever need, and the fact that it's like there's like you know, all of those sweet what was the plane Dominaria where they release all the legendary stuff, so you can get that. There's that sorcery that returns all legendary permanents in the battlefield. There's so many cool things you can do there. Something Glorious Rebirth, apparently.
Yeah. Figured I might as well be using my screen while we're talking to actually be building a deck.
Yeah, I'm watching community bloopers.
What do you think of Griswold the Dreadsower?
I think he's good, depending on what deck you're in. I like him in Kobold. I mean, I think if you're on a budget too, especially, it's really good.
Back up, Ray.
If you're playing things that, what? As the head?
As the head of the deck.
I think as the head he can be kind of strong. I mean, he's in Golgari, which are great colors. I think the most ideal situation you're going to be in is where you play him, and then there's this enchantment that always goes with him. It's like a 2-drop that gives all token creatures or something like all token creatures that come in the battlefield start off with a -1/-1. So basically, at every upkeep, you're just putting like 6 counters on him.
Wait, which one are you talking about?
Griswold the Dreadsower?
Yeah. But
what's
then he at like every upkeep he gives, or every end step, one of the two, he gives every player
at the beginning of your end step, each player creates a 1/1 plant token. Whenever a creature token dies, put a +1/+1 counter on him.
Yeah.
Oh, so, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
So you do the enchantment that gives all tokens -1/-1. So as soon as you make them, they die, and he gets counters. Now the issue with that is if that's the route you want to go, and that's the best value he can offer, why not just play Skullbriar?
Well, so the reason you don't just play Skullbriar is because you want to trigger. You want to trigger the enter the battlefield effects and the leave the battlefield effects. Is why. So you essentially get to trigger the when a creature enters, you get to do this. When a creature leaves, this happens. Like, he's really good for that with that build because they get creatures and they lose creatures. So you trigger all the ETB effects and the leave the battlefield effects.
I mean, maybe if you're playing it like Aristocrats, you know, so you get like your great packs or.
Well, that's kind of how you build it. That's exactly how you would build that. There's no other reason not to build it Aristocrats if you're going to build it. Now, if you just want to go like big, swingy, stompy bullshit and go Golgari, absolutely Skullbriar, 100%.
Yeah.
Because the best part about Skullbriar is Skullbriar, you can sacrifice Skullbriar for a trigger and then recast him and he still keeps his counters.
Oh, yeah. Skullbriar is good. And he's only gotten better now that 1-drop Ozolith artifact has come out.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. That thing is fucking disgusting.
Dude, are you kidding me? It's gonna be a staple now. Like, I'm actually, my deck slots in my Hydra deck are so full now, it's crazy. But I'm really thinking it might be worth putting in there.
Well, that is a card that is a good addition that you would not like you talked about with like the being upset about what you draw. Like, are you more excited about drawing a Tormod's Crypt or an Altar of the Brood? Well, It's the same concept. Would you be excited to draw that card? 100%. 100% would be excited to draw that card.
Yeah, see, for me, I'm not sure.
Especially in a
for me, the most
Skullbriar
important
deck.
thing is ramp. Like I want to see my Farseeks, my Cultivates. I want to see all of my ramp. That's what I want to see.
Well, you need the ramp in that Hydro deck.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's the most important part.
Mm-hmm. You've got no choice.
But if I was playing an Azuri or a Pier and Toothy or something like that, for sure I want to see the
Pier. It goes straight into Pier and Toothy. 100%. 100%. Because now Toothy leaves. You've drawn how many cards, and those counters goes on that thing. You recast Toothy, and they go right back on him.
So stupid.
You talking about value, bro? That alone is worth it. That value alone of that card draw for him is stupid. And you're in Simic, nonetheless. Simic Ascendancy is the same way. Let's say someone destroys your Simic Ascendancy. Awesome. You're running green anyways. If it's already got 10 counters on it, you recur it, replay it, and put the fucking counters on it.
Yep, just regrowth
Wait,
it
no,
and move them all
it's
back
only
over.
Never mind, it's only a creature. It's only for creatures.
Yeah, that's still really good, though, because then you just move them back onto a creature, and then guess what got all of those in its growth counters again?
Yes.
Oh, sweet. I had these 10 counters, boom, 10 new growth counters.
Yes. Mm-hmm. It's disgusting. It is fucking disgusting.
Ugh.
Like, there's a lot of... there's just so much you can do in Magic nowadays. There's so much stuff.
Yeah, and I think for me, like, generally, I think that's where the disconnect is in the fun now. It's because WotC has been printing so many kill-on-site cards that it just stresses the game out instead of making it fun. It's like, oh, great, now we need an answer for this, or it's dead next turn. Like, we literally have one turn on the table if we're lucky. And that's what so many cards they've printed, you know?
And the problem is they're not most of the time they're not creatures.
Oh no, for sure.
Which has fewer answers.
Correct. Most of the time it's not creatures, so you can't even path it or swords it. You instead have to disenchant it. You have to putrefy it. So you're not running the ones you would normally run. Now you got to stretch out a bit and run the ones you'd never thought you would run because now the threats aren't the creatures. The threats are the enchantments or the artifacts or even the fucking lands.
The spells, bro.
The spells in general.
And if you're not playing blue, forget it. Like look at the new Abspin ultimatum. It literally says return every permanent from your graveyard to play. If someone drops that thing in the commander game and you're not in blue, you are done. It's a better Rise of the Dark Realms. And they said, you know what? This seems good. Let's print this. Yeah.
Let's print this. Let's make this
every artifact. Let's say you kill a doubling season. Guess what's back now? Doubling season. On top
that's
of all
exactly what an ultimatum is, though.
That's true. I mean,
by definition, that is what an ultimatum is.
No. I mean, like, dude, if someone uses Grixis ultimatum or like the that sucks, but it's not the game's over. You know?
That's true. That's true. The game's not necessarily over if you return all your permanents either, but the likelihood of any other player stopping what's happening, if you let it happen, is really fucking slim.
Yeah.
Because at the point in the game where you can cast that where it's a value anyways, the point in the game where you can even cast that, like, people have probably already exhausted most of their resources. They've already exhausted their swords and their path and their other bullshit, their board wipes, their fucking Bane of Progress, things of that nature. They've already exhausted those resources. Because by the time you cast that for like 12 fucking mana, that stuff's already gone. And so now you've casted it and their resources are depleted.
I'm just thinking with that card in like a Ramos the Dragon Engine Planeswalker deck and how over that game would be if that thing resolved.
I mean, the game's normally over if the other ultimatum resolves anyways. But now you've got two to worry about.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. It's fucking disgusting. Like, I see where you're coming from. I see Isaac's point too. Like, it is an ultimatum. Like, that's kind of the point of it. You either stop this or you fucking don't.
Yeah.
Like, one of the two. But like you said as well, now you have to build it.
So what's going to stop it? You have to be in blue.
Blue stops it.
Mm-hmm.
Blue is the only color that stops something like that.
So with these new cards they're basically saying everyone needs to splash blue.
Or you have to hold your board wipes up and your removal up until someone maybe plays that spell if they're playing it.
Yeah.
And by that time,
it gets back to you.
Right. And at that point, you've probably already been beaten off the fucking table because you didn't stop anything else that happened. Yeah, the game is getting wild, man. Magic is getting wild.
Well, I even told you guys too when this commander first got released, and I think nobody was recognizing this for me at the time. I'm like, what is up with this Golos commander? This is the dumbest, most broken commander. They just said, hey guys, do you want to play a 5-color anything you want deck, and it's gonna be good and gross no matter what? Here's your commander. He literally can lead any deck, and it's going to be great. He gets you lands when he ETBs, and then he cheats mana costs for anything you want to play.
Yep.
Like,
for
it's
7.
so dumb. So
for
dumb.
7.
Yeah.
It's stupid. It's so stupid.
Yeah. I could not. And then out of that, he gets you any land. And it's like, oh, okay, let's just kill him. We don't have to worry about his ability. Well, guess what? Because of that ability, his first ability, his commander tax realistically only goes up by 1 every time you kill him.
Yeah, because you just went and got yourself a land.
Another land.
And
exactly.
and if you've built it properly, you're getting 2 lands anyways.
Yes. Because you're grabbing Field of the Dead, you're grabbing Cabal Coffers, and Oracle. Those first 3 lands you're getting every single time. Or Gaia's Cradle,
Gaia's Cradle's an auto ad for a deck like that.
Yeah,
but that's the thing. When I built it, the first land I got was Field of the Dead every time.
Oh yeah.
Whether it was my 5th land, whether it was my 9th land, whatever it was, whenever I casted my commander, the first land I grabbed was Field of the Dead.
Yeah.
Automatically, like that's how broken that commander is. Now that commander can be stopped, obviously, with a few cards that say you can't activate the ability, but it being in 5 colors, it's probably got an answer for it.
Oh yeah, I mean the best answers. That's what you do. It's like,
it's also the fact that it casts. If it just let you put them in the play, that'd be different.
Yeah.
If it let you put the cards in the play, that'd be less broken.
Now everyone's cheating Eldrazi and getting the effect from him too.
Yes, because it's a cast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna cast this Ulamog. I'm gonna cast this Nulamog. I'm gonna cast this Kozilek. Yep. I'm gonna cast this Emrakul. And you're like, oh, well, fuck.
Yeah.
Whether you counter
I'm guilty of it too.
Whether you counter this, I'm getting these cast abilities.
Yeah.
This is happening. I'm casting these spells. Now, the downside is X cost, but if I'm running Golos anyways, I'm probably not running anything X cost.
No.
To be honest with you. I'm not running X cost anything because I'm just going to beat you to fucking death with the biggest shit I can find.
Mm-hmm.
Basically.
Yeah. And it's just so brutal. Like, it's so good. And everyone's like, yeah, but it's 5 color. You have to have all 5 colors. I get it. I get you have to have all 5 colors.
Build 5 color and run only 3.
I literally run all the dual lands, except for the old dual lands. I don't have those because they're expensive, as we all know.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. I have all of the dual lands. I have all of the check lands. I have all of the ones from Battle Bond that just come in if I have 2 or more opponents.
I should have got those when they came out.
I know. I should have too, but I got them for a decent price. I got them for like $10 each, so it wasn't too bad.
That's pretty good. I think they started there.
Yeah, I want the new Tri ones, the Tri lands. I want those too.
Dude,
like,
they're so
because
good.
almost every Tri land. So if you play a Tri land, doesn't matter what colors it is. If you play that Tri land in a 5-color deck, you can literally play every single check land and it untaps.
Yeah.
Every single time we'll come in untapped with 1 Tri land.
Can we also remember they have cycling? So it's like, okay, most ideal. You drop a turn 1 or 2 and it doesn't matter. Well, guess what? It's turn 9 and I don't need a tap land. I'm going to cycle that away and get something excellent.
I'm going to cycle it away and draw me a card.
Yeah, those lands are so good.
Well, the crazy part about that is people see these lands and they're like, oh, well, these are really good because we say that. They're really good. But no one talked about the Amonkhet lands. The Amonkhet lands did the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
They were the same way, but everyone's like, oh, they're just so bad. They come in tapped and they have cycling. Yeah, they cycle for 2, like normal cycling. Mm-hmm. They cycle for 2. Like, that's really good. These are really good lands. And they are dual lands. On top of that, they are actual dual lands. Yeah. So, but no one talks about it. They're so cheap, but these new Tri lands are already sitting like $25 each.
Jeez.
Yeah. Well, and
that's
the first land that's ever been 3 basics together.
Yes, it's the first time it's ever happened. Now they could have made it a lot worse. They could have made it like the old dual lands where they just come into play. Where they just come into play. Because if they would have done that, if that card said that, I would have bought 4. I would have bought 4 sets.
Dude, those would have been sitting at like $100 plus right out the gate.
More than that.
Yeah,
way more
because
than
people
that.
would be willing to buy that. That would be such good value.
Well,
I don't know who those people are.
That would get on. That would get on the restricted list.
Yeah, that would get
that would be the
would
be the newest card onto the restricted list, and those cards would do nothing but shoot up in value.
Let me tell you how many boxes would be sold, though. Holy shit!
Oh, I'm telling you, Jesus Christ, it is beautiful, baby. Good job. It's got glitter all over it. It's so beautiful. My kids are painting those little wooden letters out back. Let me see what you got, baby.
Hey, Skullbriar, we're just talking about that.
Yeah, Skullbriar's gross.
Yeah, I decided to switch it with Griswold.
Yeah,
Good job.
I think it's better. Skullbriar's really gross,
baby.
and it puts everybody on a clock to make suboptimal plays. In fact, if I'm being 100% honest, do you know how we can get our playgroup in particular out of kind of the stagnant, overpowered meta we're in? Play something like Infect or earlier aggro, where people need to have early responses and answers and to be playing proactively rather than just sitting back. And you're going to see a huge swing in the meta.
But they won't get out of the meta. They'll just bitch about it.
Well, fuck them. Let them bitch, I guess. I don't know.
I like your thought process.
They'll change.
Like, I like your thought process of trying to get him out of that meta 100%. Try and get him out of it. But the problem is they won't. They'll build something else to play against Skullbriar that's not necessarily competitive, but they'll play something to combat Skullbriar. And then when you switch your deck, they'll play a competitive deck. It won't change. They'll adapt to play a different deck, but then they'll still go to their competitive decks because, in all honesty, how competitive is Skullbriar? You know, how bad could you, you can make him infect, but that's really about it. He still has to connect.
Yeah.
He still has to deal damage to get counters unless you build him to just get counters. But if you build him that way, then it's like one counter a turn, maybe two, and he doesn't have trample.
I saw a Skullbriar deck that had the ability to put like 30 counters on him a turn.
Yeah, I once died.
Oh yeah, no, there's
deck.
builds for that. It's not like that. It's possible, but the problem is against a deck that's just like, I'm gonna exile your deck as early as I can.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have a chance. Or a deck like Urza that combos off pretty much turn 2.
Yeah,
I
got real tired of playing against the combo competitive decks. Like that's not what this game's about.
Luckily, that's few and far between. I think just like the general conversations is you should never be playing a CEDH deck in our pod. Like, Cliff and Jeff are generally the only people that have them, and now they're pretty good at just playing them against each other.
Well, they do that because, so me and Cliff, when we first started playing together, I had been playing for a while, and my theory was, if you play aggressive enough decks, then you force your play group to evolve. And you force them to play better decks, you force them to play more aggressively or faster or whatever. And that was my mindset for a very long time, because
it worked.
It does work.
Now it's evolved to a point where people who are like me don't build decks fast enough to keep up with the meta.
Correct. Because by the time you build a deck that can compete with the deck they're using, they have a different deck. Yes. That's the main problem. But I got out of that mindset because what I realized is it breeds toxicity. It is just toxic to want to play like that. Yes, making your play group better is a good thing. Making your play group better and how they play is a really good thing. But there is a level that you stop at.
Yeah,
like Eric said, there are two people in the play group essentially that play competitive, Jeff and Cliff, for the most part. And they normally won't play their competitive decks until something bad happens to them and it pisses them off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then they'll switch to it. And the way to stop that is when they do that, when you see it coming, because you will see it coming, is just to be like, all right, guys, I'm done for the night. Y'all have a good one, and log off. Or pack up your stuff and leave, because now you don't have to play that competitive deck. But then you lead into the fact of next week when you play, they still have that salt. They still remember what happened, and they're probably just going to start with the competitive deck. Because Cliff's done that before. Cliff holds grudges. He
absolutely has.
Yes.
He says he doesn't hold grudges, but he does.
Yes, he says he don't, but it's very clear that he does. Almost everyone does. But you can't get away from the competitive scene because your play group doesn't want to get away from the competitive scene.
Yeah.
Certain people.
Yeah, I can see that. Like I generally
never
don't
get
care.
out of it.
Yeah, I want to have fun, and I generally don't care. You know, I want everyone to be happy with their decks and what they like. But the only time I do, like, all right, so Savala's out or Urza's out, we pretty much have no chance. So it's almost like, can we just like say you won already and just maybe move on to the next game? Like, because there's no point in shuffling up, you know?
Correct. and that's the problem though, is, you know, y'all play with very toxic people, and like I was so happy when I left that play group. Like I like y'all, not like that. I like talking to y'all and playing Magic with most of y'all, but I was so happy to leave because they were Cliff, and not necessarily Jeff at the time, but Cliff mostly was more into the
Josh at the
competitive
time.
scene. He would just play Urza and just combo, and that was his go-to. He had other decks that weren't as competitive, but he would just bitch the entire time if you did something, and so it wasn't fun. And I was so happy to leave. I was so excited, and then like y'all started doing this Zoom thing, and I was like, cool, I get to play again. And then I realized
you remembered why you left.
I remembered why I fucking left pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like I remembered why I left the play group and why I was so excited to leave, all within a couple games. And like the other day, I talked to Cliff about it, about, you know, leaving and everything, about not playing for a while and stuff. And he tried to blame it all on Jeff. He you know, and I was like, it's not.
That's both of their faults.
Yeah.
That is most certainly both of their faults.
Well, no, I think in Cliff's defense, like I think he's realized that about himself. He definitely still has that streak where he likes CDH, and that's fine. He has the budget and the money and the passion to afford it. The thing about what he does now is we've gotten to a comfortable level. Just like me, I like my 8s. I build 8s. I love my 8s because they're strong enough to compete and interact with most things. But at the same time, it's like, hey, I went on turn 3. Fuck you guys, you know. So. The problem is so he tried to counterbalance that, the Urza decks, the Bala deck, and now he's building like the mono black rats and things where it's like, you know, dude, it only takes 1 or 2 cards to stop this thing completely, you know?
She wants to stay outside, so she wants to ask you to go outside.
Yeah, I'll go out there.
So I think it's just more of those things where you have to balance things out, you know, like when we played the other day, and the only time Cliff got mad is when Jeff used Kendra's transformation on his commanders. It's like, dude, I'm in mono black. I have no way to interact with your enchantment, and my entire deck is about getting rats out with this guy. You know?
Yeah, but if you build your entire deck around one thing, then I mean, not saying it was the right thing to do on Jeff's part, but if I can shut down your entire deck by playing one card, maybe you should build something else.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Exactly. So it's that balance of, because he was playing the top stuff, he wanted to bring it down, but now I think you brought it down too much to like an unviable deck. You know?
You're coloring my face. Color your face. Little weirdo. Yeah, well, that's the point too. But he wants to play it. Don't color your eye, you little fucking turd.
Yeah.
Let me see it. You want to paint?
Like in my opinion, I think the person who's had the healthiest growth as far as their deck building capabilities, the commanders they're choosing, not being too broken, but still being able to interact and play around, is Spencer. I think Spencer's done a really good job over the last like 6 months or so, building his commanders and kind of adjusting himself, because he used to do terrible.
I feel like he's become more confident.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, he really has.
Like, that's really what it is. It's his confidence level in playing Magic has gotten a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
that's
really
also because he hasn't been dealing with, like, especially since this quarantine started, he hasn't been dealing with Cliff and Jeff on a regular basis. So
that's also fair, because I know he's not a fan of. Turn your head. Turn. I know he's not a fan of really either one of the way that they talk to him.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah. Sometimes it can be problematic.
Yeah, 100%. Like, and I know, like, some people that's just the way they are. But like for Spencer, turn your head, Bubba. Turn. Some people, like for Spencer, he is a very sensitive person.
Mm-hmm.
Like he just is, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's not like that.
Not at all.
Like I like Spencer, but he is sensitive, and sometimes it gets the better of him. Sometimes it gets to the point where he doesn't know how to react, and his reaction is to either get mad or to, you know, kind of break down a bit, and he just has to control that. And he's done a lot better at it. I've noticed it.
Yeah,
he's done a lot better, and I think that speaks volumes for him as a person and as a player. And I really do think that about him. I think he is a very good Magic player. He just lets his emotions get the better of him almost every time we played, and that stopped him from being able to do what he wants to do.
Jeff kind of gets off on antagonizing people, and
at Bob
for doing the same thing to him.
Yeah, Jeff definitely gets his rocks off by making fun of people.
Yeah, I think that might be where our issue is. You know, the more talks we have, and I had a conversation with Bob, and obviously I had a conversation with you. It seems there's kind of like one common denominator at this point, you know, and it kind of sucks.
Well, yeah, go show mama. That's kind of what it comes down to is like, and I don't like blaming people specifically because it feels like a group effort most of the time. But when no one tells him to shut the fuck up, like that's when it gets bad. Like, I'm not a person for confrontation. I'm a very mild-mannered person. You know, when it comes down to the end of it, go get some paint on it. Put some paint on that and bring it back to me. I'm a very mild-mannered person when it comes to confrontation, but I will stand up for myself if necessary, or other people. But you handled the situation with Jeff the other day quite well. You know, you didn't get upset. You just kind of laughed it off and joked about it. And I thought that, take this one. I thought, nope, take the other one. That one. Take that one. Now, come here. I thought that was the best way you could have possibly done that in that situation. Because if not, it could have just escalated very quickly. And you handled it quite well. But the thing is with Jeff is in person, he's not that way. In person, he's not that type of person. Because in person, I would beat the hell out of Jeff if he talked to me that way.
Yeah.
And like, he understands that.
I am a grown-ass man. Like, you're not going to talk to me that way over a card game. That doesn't matter. Like, you're not going to sit there and berate me like I'm a fucking child. Like, I will reach over this table and beat the hell out of you. And he's not the first person I've acted that way with. Some dude that I think you were there, Eric. Yeah, you remember? Yeah, at fucking at Treefort, this dude literally shushed me. And I told him, I was like, "Don't fucking shush me." I was like, "I'm a grown ass man," and he's like, "I'll do whatever I want."
Story.
And and the fucking big buff dude that plays Tassiger, he's like, "You don't talk to people like that way, man."
Oh, that's
like, you just
right. I remember that.
don't.
That was at Turkers. That wasn't at Treetop because
it was at Tree.
No, it was at Treefort.
Yeah, it was.
100% it was at Treefort. I remember. Because that's the only place that dude played. He never came and played at Terra Crux. The buff dude did. He played occasionally. He's the one that kind of.
I guess I've heard it then because I've heard you tell that story.
Yeah, I've told the story before, because it's a good story to tell because I really like it because it shows that I'm not gonna sit here and take what you do because if he would have shushed me again, I 100% would have reached across that fucking table and beat the hell out of him.
Yeah.
Like without question, I would have just beat the shit out of the kid. I would have got kicked out of the store for it, but I wouldn't have cared. It was about proving.
At that point, you don't really want to
be
be going to that kind of store anyway.
Yeah, like well, everyone else there was nice. It was only that one kid that it was that one time. There was a card there was a card that was being casted, and he didn't think it worked the way it did. And I was like, it does work that way. And I was reading it, and he shushed me, and I was like, no, we don't do that here. That's not how this is gonna fucking work. And he also cheated that day too. He cheated Eric. Eric went to cast Rise of the Dark Realms and return all the creatures and win the game because Eric was 100% going to win that game. And he countered it with mana he didn't have. And I know he didn't because I looked at his mana and you even asked him how much he had open. He said he had a white open. And then all of a sudden he countered it with 2 blue mana that he didn't fucking have.
I remember that.
He legit cheated and we called it, but Eric just let it go. But I was like, this dude, what the fuck, man? Yeah. It was wild. It was just he just was not a good player. What's funny?
So it's kind of like my view on Casey.
Yeah, essentially the same thing. What's funny though is I seen that guy again in Vegas.
What, really?
Yeah, when we went to Vegas, I walked past the table he was sitting at. I didn't say nothing to him, and he didn't recognize me. You get caught
cheating in Vegas, you get in a lot of trouble.
Oh yeah, you get banned.
Federal.
You get kicked out of the fucking event and shit. But I seen him, and me and my buddy Drew, we walked past the table, and I was like, that dude's familiar. He's like, who? And we had walked a couple tables down. I pointed back. I was like, that guy right there at that table. And he was like, he went to Treefort. I was like, yeah, that's him. I was like, that's the dude I almost beat the hell out of. And I told him the story about it, and he was like, what the fuck?
That's cool that Drew was there. I forgot that you went with him.
Yeah, we were supposed to go to Houston this, like, couple weeks back or whatever. We were supposed to go to the one in Houston, but they canceled it because of this whole fucking COVID shit.
Yeah. I love playing with Drew because it was like one of those things where he just was really passionate about the game, and no matter what he built, just to have fun and to socialize. You know, like that's why I like playing with Bob so much. Like Bob, after he left Kendall, was honestly one of my favorite people to play with because he plays stuff that was like, pretty strong too. So he filled your slot pretty well. I'd always be eyeing his shit. And then we had this thing where him and I knew, like, hey, we both tend to like to play eights, like pretty much. Like Bob does not have a weak deck. And so we'd always be just kind of eyeing each other the entire fucking game. And like, but it was just fun. It was just like, there was no like salt. Hey, did you counter that? Good. You should have, because that would have really been bad for you guys, and vice versa. Things like that,
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that's the kind of environment that I want to
Well,
play.
it's nice to know I was replaced. It's nice to know. It's nice to know y'all replaced me so quickly.
Well, and then of course now he's moving too. So what the hell are you gonna do?
Yeah, right. Now y'all have a vacuum.
Exactly.
I think that vacuum should be left for a while. Just give it.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. If y'all don't leave the vacuum, then it kind of allows someone to swoop in and like push the power creep again. And it's kind of shitty. Like, like you need that vacuum to prevent the power creep.
It's definitely our play group too. I've played, with other people and like online stuff.
No, 100% it's y'all's play group.
Yeah, like when I had Yawgmoth built and things like that, dude, I could tell when I was playing with other people, they were like, dude, like this is too gross, man. You were
when I first
cleaning
went
me out right now,
Yeah, when I first went down to Copper's Cove where Drew lives, I went and played with his friends down there, and I played. I had my Kai card deck, and I played it.
I feel sorry for that entire play group.
I slapped the shit out of everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone at that fucking table, I fucking trounced the shit out of them, and they were like, "Well, goddamn!" And I was like, "I mean, Drew warned y'all about me." And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, he doesn't lose." He's like, "You beat the hell out of him." I was like, "He must not have told you too much about me then."
Yeah.
And they were like, "What?" And I was like, I pretty much beat Drew every time we played. I was like, he's got me a couple times. I was like, but I pretty much smacked the shit out of him.
See that, and that's why I blame you, Kendall, for the way I build decks now. Because literally, I remember one time I was like, dude, I want to build a fun deck, something really flavorful. It's gonna be awesome. Just do a couple things. So I built that Scarab God. I'm just casting like one thing a turn, chilling or whatever. Freaking Kendall comes in with Zakama. By turn 7, he shut out his entire deck. He's got 30 lands. He's got 50 power on board. He's got 20 cards in hand. I said, okay, well, we're going to be able to do something about these kinds of things. And so now all my decks are Sultai, and they can answer pretty much everything.
Hey, look, man, I'll take responsibility for you being a better Magic player. I'll take that. That's fine.
All I wanted was to make a Scarab God zombie deck. Couldn't have it. Wasn't allowed.
I guess that's a trend between you and Isaac both, because Isaac had one when we first met too.
A Scarab God deck?
Isaac had a Scarab God deck. So did Isaac ever tell you how?
Deck.
So it wasn't very good. It needed a lot of work.
Yeah.
But also that was because my card knowledge was severely limited.
It absolutely was. It was very limited.
Was small.
But when me and him first met, we played at a table together at Terra Crux for a month straight. Literally every single week, it was me and him at a table.
That's so funny. Just randomly paired up.
Yeah, no, we just got randomly paired up every single week for a month.
That stopped when I cussed out Steve for a moment there.
Yeah, a little bit.
That I said, "Damn it, Kendall."
Yeah, because it was every week, and it wasn't necessarily a bad thing. I think Isaac has become a better player because of the people he's had to play against. Like now. Did I just like thoroughly stomp the shit out of Isaac?
A couple times.
A couple times I did, but not because of his deck, not because of Isaac, but I stomped the shit out of the entire table. Like I thrashed the table, but it wasn't directed at Isaac specifically. And so like that's the thing. Like I never targeted him specifically,
which is the whole reason I'm still playing Magic. If you had just
that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. You probably would have quit.
I probably would have quit.
Well, if you had known me about 2 months prior to that, probably would have quit, because that's exactly how I was. I wanted people to quit Magic. I wanted to beat people so bad that they would never play Magic again.
Oh, that's a healthy meta.
Oh boy, I was a very toxic player. I was a very, very toxic player. It was
I
bad.
right at the tail end of that.
Yeah, I toned down quite a bit since then. Like, yeah, I still make pretty gross decks, I guess, in y'all's eyes. But, like, for me, I don't see it. Like, my decks, I feel like I just kind of, like, I throw them together, and I hope they do what they're supposed to do nowadays. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't sit down and, like, actually do research on cards. I'm not looking up new combos. I'm not looking up interactions. I'm just like, well, this card looks like it goes with this one and this one and this one and this one. And I slap together a deck, I sleeve it, and I go play it. And if it works, it works.
Yep.
Like that's kind of where I'm at nowadays. Like
Avengers
it's not even
Zendikar
like,
never goes out of style, dude. You know?
oh yeah, no, Avengers in the car is always there.
Yeah.
I always got to go to in my pocket with Angry Omnanth. You know, I can always go back to him. So you know, like I've got
angry on now.
I got options. You know, like I've got options. But like the thing for me is like I don't like rebuilding the same commander. Like I tend to try and not like I try not to do that because then I get bored. I know how the deck runs. I know what to search for. Like I know what I'm doing. Like I know exactly when and when not to do something. And it's boring for me. So I like throwing new things together and be like, all right, how in the fuck am I gonna make this work? How can I do this? And I kind of have fun doing that nowadays instead of like actually sitting down and building a deck. Like obviously the Snake Leviathan, I'm putting thought into that one because I literally went out and bought a Wheel of Fortune. Like I'm putting some effort into that deck. Like I spent $100 on one card so I can build this snake deck. Like I got it before it sold out. So like I'm putting effort into this deck. But like every other deck, like my Kaikar deck I built Kaikar right before Vegas. Literally the night before Vegas. I sat at my buddy's house, and at 2:00 in the mornings when I got there, and he's like, "You about to go to bed?" And I was like, "Nope." He's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Building a new deck."
I got work to do.
I was like, "I got to build a new deck before Vegas." And he was like, "What are you building?" I was like, "I don't know yet." And he was like, "Well, how about Kaikar?" And I was like, "The fuck is Kaikar?" And he showed it to me, and I was like, "Oh, sweet God!"
And then you came back from Vegas and Rob will stop the tables.
Oh, it beat, yeah, absolutely. And that was with just his collection, just cards that he had. I didn't bring none of my stuff. I built it purely off what he had on his table, is how I built it. And then when I got home, I took it apart, separated it, and rebuilt it how I wanted it, and it was even grosser. So, like, that's the thing. Like, I can build pretty much anything I want to. Off of what I have right now, I could never buy Magic cards again and still beat a lot of decks.
Oh yeah, for sure. Once you have certain staples, like they last a long time, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Until a new staple that is even better is printed.
Yeah, but very few just straight up replace a card. Like I was telling you the other day, like Hero's Downfall is now done. There's no reason to play that card ever again.
Murderous Rider is so much better.
You can still have that Asban Ultimatum. It doesn't make Rise of the Dark Realms any less good.
That's also correct. Yes. Like Rise of the Dark Realms is still good because you can run it in mono black.
Oh yeah.
Like that's the difference. The Abzan you have to run in 3 colors. Rise of the Dark Realms you're running mono black. You're guaranteed to have the mana. You're guaranteed to need what you want.
Yeah.
And in your mono black deck. Exactly. That's the point. Like the Abzan deck, you have to build Abzan. With the Rise of the Dark Realms, you can build any color combination of black that you want. And however you want to build it, because Rise at some point is going to be useful. But the Abzan card, you're talking about, it might work, it might not.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to get the most value, you better be dredging like a mother, dude. You know?
Oh, 100%. You have to dredge to get that value.
What lands untap creatures?
Which lands untap creatures?
I know there are some.
Not off. There's a few, but nah, there are lands that untap creatures, but there's only like 2 or 3 that do it.
I'm thinking about throwing Croson Restorer into my Skullbriar deck.
What's Croson Restorer do?
Tap untap target land, threshold untap 3.
Oh, that's really good.
It's really good, and if you have a land that untaps a creature, you have infinite mana.
That's stupid. Hang on. I'm gonna do some research real quick while we're on the phone. Hold up. Alright, land.
Because I might just order that for this deck.
Untap target creature.
Anything with the word Croson in is gonna be a strong card.
Fair. You're not wrong.
Right.
Well, sadly,
there's not one.
Land. There's not.
I've never heard of such a thing.
Now, hold on. Now, there are cards that let you untap target attacking creatures. That is a thing.
That there was a combo with Croson Restorer.
Hang on, let me go to Google.
The only way I could see it is if you use like freaking like Song of the Dryad or something like that, and we're still somehow able to use abilities. That's the only way I'm seeing that ever happening.
One with the stars then.
Where everything's enchantments.
Crows and Restore has a combo with Freed from the Reel.
Yeah, which makes total sense because all you gotta do is make sure you have multiple blues out of your 3 with Threshold. You know? Yeah. Freed from Reel is easy. As long as you're producing more than it takes to untap, you have infinite mana. Like, that's how it goes.
Yep.
Done.
And because it only costs 1 mana to untap.
The biggest problem is that the Crows and Restore literally goes infinite with Simic.
Not with
Golgari.
Golgari.
Not with black, yeah. Golgari doesn't really give it a good advantage. Yeah, not really a good advantage. Oh, hold on. Maybe. Hold on. That's not a, hang on, no. That's not a combo. Hold on. Because there was something in here, it shows it's got a Nykthos, Deserted Temple, and Crows and Restore. But Deserted Temple lets you untap a target land just like the Crows and Restore does. Hang on, I want to look at something.
Doesn't Nykthos untap a creature?
No, Nykthos lets you out of...
Hey, gents. I gotta get rolling. I gotta start dinner.
All right, man.
All right. But good talks, and we'll catch you guys later, all right?
All right, buddy.
Absolutely.
All right, peace.
Hang on, I'm looking. I'm trying to help you out.
Like that combo would go in the deck just because that's funny.
That lets you do it once. That'll let you do it when it ETBs. So you can do it if you play Cloudstone Curio, you can do it.
What does Cloudstone Curio do?
Whenever a creature or artifact enters the battlefield, bounce something that shares a type with it that you control. So like creature or anything like that. So if you play the Crozen dude, tap him, untap your lands, play the
So
Hyrax.
You need a haste enabler at that point then.
I mean, boots.
Fair.
Boots exist for a reason. But it allows you to bounce him. But Hyrax Scout enters the battlefield, you untap target creature. So as it enters, you stack his trigger first to untap a creature, to tap it to produce more mana, to bounce it, to put it back in. And you can essentially float infinite mana with Deserted Temple and Nykthos. It's about the only way you can do it.
That seems like I'd have to buy several cards to make one card work.
Yeah, pretty much.
While that would be funny, I don't think that's the most effective thing that I can do with the deck.
No, it's not. It's about all you got, though.
Yeah, I understand.
Which really sucks, because it would be funny. I'm still looking, but if you had a way to untap your artifacts, you could do it with 1,000-year elixir.
There's a few that untap artifacts, aren't there?
Probably, but it's about the same thing. I'm still looking. Hold on. I got you. I'm looking. I am looking. A lot of instances and stuff like that do it, but nothing you could keep doing so far.
That's the problem.
Unless you
even if it's an instant that lets you pay 2 mana into untapping a creature, you're still netting a mana until end of turn.
Yeah. So far, everything's blue that really continuously does it. Go figure.
Because why make anything else powerful in Magic?
Yeah, right.
Blue
Why?
and green are the most powerful colors.
Yeah, they really are.
Oh, no wonder I'm not finding green cards in this deck. It's a Murica deck.
Yeah, you're not gonna find no green cards in there.
Like, why am I not finding green in here? This is the deck I thought I grabbed.
Radiance is really good.
That Colossification, though.
That card's fucking gross.
Did you look it up after I sent it to you?
I sure did. That's fucking disgusting.
7 mana, when it enters the battlefield, tap an enchanted creature, it gets +20/+20. So if you have a way to untap it on command, you could
buy
20 beat stick.
If you go buy a Staff of Domination, you can do it.
So dumb.
I know.
I should probably pick one up for Volrath because
$37. Yeah.
Okay.
The Kaladesh Inventions, $73.
Jeez.
Yeah. That's fucking gross. That's so gross.
But it'll end a game real quick, though.
Yeah, Staff will end the game.
Well, Staff of Domination, but that's not what I was referring to. Colossification. It'll end a game real quick if you can put it on a commander and give it trample.
You could run Onyx Talisman. You can pay 3, untap target permanent, use this ability only when a black spell is successfully casted. It's a 2-drop. You'd have to cast a spell, but there's one for every color.
Which means that I'd have to net.
You'd have to net one. You'd have to net a lot, but if you do it with the if you do it with like Nykthos and shit like that, you can do it.
Yeah, and then like a black buyback spell.
Yeah. There's also one for green, so you could do it with green as well. So you could do it for both, and possibly have it happen. So it's possible. But hey, let me call you right back. I got a phone call.
Absolutely.
All right, buddy. Bye.